everybody, welcome back to another Miss Pollard Math YouTube video. Today we're going to be going over rotating around a point, and this is a little bit different from what we've seen before because we're not rotating around the origin. We're rotating around a different point, and we can rotate a point, a segment, a figure, anything around a different point. So as always, it's important to see what steps we have to complete to be successful for this problem. So our first step, I'm going to preface this with, it's more technical and more geometrically correct to say that we're rotating the point we're rotating around, I know it's a mouthful, by 180 degrees. So we're taking the point we're rotating around and applying a 180-degree rotation to that. Sometimes it becomes a little bit confusing for my students to be like, wait, I'm applying a 180-degree rotation, but it's asking me to do a 90 degrees counterclockwise. So instead what I like to do is I like to say we're going to take our original point, our pre-image, and we're going to subtract the point that we're rotating around, because a 180-degree rotation is changing the signs of the x and the y's. Well, if we're subtracting something, we're changing the signs of the x and the y's. So in my opinion, this is a little bit more straightforward if we're saying I'm going to subtract them and then apply the rotation that they're asking me. Sometimes it might be a little confusing to do two rotations within one. However, if the 180-degree rotation is what you have to do that. But I think this is a little bit of a shortcut. So once you get that new point after subtracting or using the 180-degree rotation, you are going to apply the rotation rule they ask, whether that be a 90 degrees counterclockwise, 90 degrees clockwise, or it is a 180-degree rotation. So you're going to apply that to that new point that you just found from step one. Once you find that, you're going to add your new point to the point you're rotating around. So all these steps seem a lot, but once we apply it to a problem, I hope it's a little bit more clear for you. So we have this problem where we're taking point A, which is -2, 5, and we're rotating it 90 degrees counterclockwise around -6, -2. So all those steps that we're doing, we're starting with our pre-image, which was A, and at the end, we're going to get to A prime. It's not going to be A double prime because we're doing all these rotations. We're just taking it and rotating it around the point, so it's just going to be a singular prime. We're not going to have multiple primes here. So we want to rotate this point around this point. So with my little shortcut, in my opinion, we are going to do -2, which is our pre-image, and subtract -6, -2, which is the same thing as applying that 180-degree rotation. So I'm going to do -2 minus a -6. This might look a little bit weird, so like, when do we subtract coordinates like this? Well, we're just going to take our x values and subtract them. So -2 minus a -6, this becomes a plus. So -2 plus 6 gives me a 4 for my x value. Then I have a 5 minus a -2, which is a 5 plus a 2, which is a 7. So that equals 7. So my new point is 4, 7. Now we have to rotate it 90 degrees counterclockwise. And our rule for 90 degrees counterclockwise is -y, x. So that's telling us to switch our x and our y values and then change the sign of the y. So I'm going to switch them. It's going to be 7, 4. And then my old y was positive, so I'm going to make it a negative. This is not saying that our y must be negative. When we put it into the front position, it's not saying it must be negative. It says we're changing the sign. So if it's a negative, if this was a -7, this would become a +7. So we have to be careful with that. Once we get our new point, we are going to add it to the point we're rotating it around. So I'm going to add it to -6, -2. So I'm going to add the x values. What's -7 plus -6? That's -13. And 4 plus a -2 gives me a 2. So when we rotate the point -2, 5, 90 degrees counterclockwise around -6, -2, we get the A prime, which is -13, 2. We subtracted our pre-image from the point we're rotating it around, got our new points, applied the 90 degrees counterclockwise, added it to the point that we're rotating it around, and we got our new point. Hopefully after this example, we're a little bit more comfortable on how to complete a problem when we're rotating around a point that is not the origin.